Hey, and welcome to Blankbodies, the Vampire the Masquerade V5 tabletop and horror podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and as always, I'm joined by...
I'm John.
Hi, and I'm Sarah. Surprise, we're talking about Inquisition, DMCA, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we're recording this one
A second time!
Yeah, we recorded this one and you didn't get to hear it due to technical difficulties. We're going to blame the Inquisition.
Yep.
They tried to stop us from getting the truth out.
They're working with the technocrats to fuck with us.
I have to be honest, I did expect the Inquisition, though.
As you should. They're a major antagonist in the plot. You should expect them at this point. So, we're talking, though, about the first Inquisition.
Numero uno.
Latin, for one, which I don't know what that is, because I didn't fucking take Latin. I guess.
God damn it.
Also, live update. My friend is now sending me pictures from some guy selling a bunch of VHS tapes.
Oh shit! Is anything good in the stack?
I just told him to give me any UFO documentaries or other paranormal related truth type.
Air quote truths.
Yeah. And right next to me, I have a shelf that is almost 50% nothing but UFO documentaries. I have a collection. That is my special interest collection.
I think it's kind of bullshit that Google doesn't have a English to Latin translator.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
I am surprised.
I put in Google Translate. I have English, and for under L's, I have Lao, Latvian, Lingala, Lithuanian. None of that is Latin. A lower Sorbian.
Yeah.
That's all the L's.
Interesting. So, that's the thing we've learned. We got to find another Latin translator. There's nerds. I'm sure we'll rustle one up eventually.
Probably so.
Just like panting for gold. Anywho. So, second round to the charm. So with this episode, we're going to be covering the historical context of the time period for the First Inquisition, the lore context for some of those events, and what this means in terms of the meta plot. I am going to be kind of focusing more on the broader strokes of mortal history and how that affects the vampire plot. Also, I'm not going to be going into graphic detail about Inquisition torture sequences, because if you want that, there's an ungodly amount of documentaries that you can go look at. And I feel like me just graphically describing how an Iron Maiden works and then explain to you guys that Iron Maidens aren't real is just
They're not real.
No.
I knew they were impractical and not used a lot.
There's no historical evidence really for them. Iron Maidens don't really show up in literature until like the Victorian era.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I seen it in the Torture Museum.
I also seen it at the Torture Museum. Dude, the Edinburgh Dungeon, fantastic. Well, there's a theme park attraction series across Europe called Enter Cities Name Here Dungeon.
Cool.
The Edinburgh one's great because it's built into the vaults in Edinburgh. So you get to learn about so you get to learn about like Scottish gory history things, and then take a couple of like theme park rides. And there's also scare actors at it. It's super fun.
That does sound like a fun time.
It's
that
fucking
actually sounds
dope.
like kind of a blast.
Yeah, it's like I hate dumb touristy kitschy shit, but if it's like spooky and dumb, I'm like, yes, sign me up. Every time. Let's go. So speaking of content warning, regular World of Darkness maturity level stuff. We're also going to be talking about war crusading. The concept of torture will come up, but I'm not going to describe it in graphic detail. You can jerk off to that on your own time.
Yay. Thank you for permission.
Oh me, oh my.
You're welcome. Though if you want me to describe Inquisition torture methods, tell us and it'll be a Patreon episode.
Yeah, that might be a good Hunter month
activity.
activity.
Sad. Anyways, sources for this episode are Dark Ages 20th Anniversary, as well as Dark Ages Vampire Revised, Dark Ages Inquisitor, Dark Ages Inquisitor Companion Guide, Encyclopedia Vampirica, as well as the lecture series The Crusades Part 1 through 4 from the Austin School, and then a couple of videos, 3 videos actually, from Esoterica, which include I lost where I was. The origins, theories, and practice of the medieval war against heresy and Inquisition manuals. The rise of torture and how magic became heresy. And how witchcraft skepticism produced the Lesser Key of Solomon, modern demonology, and psychiatry.
I dig it.
Yeah, a bunch of lectures. Woohoo! So let's go to the Dark Ages, which don't ba-doop actually exist.
I was really trying to think of some like shitty lute music to play with my voice, but I can't think of anything.
Unironically, I do enjoy a lot of bardcore.
I don't know what that is.
That's a subgenre of music where they do a lot of historical medieval instrumentation for modern music. So a lot of the really popular artists for that do covers of modern songs, but with medieval instrumentation.
Okay.
And some of it kind of slaps. Some of it you're just like, it's a bit weird.
So what you're telling me is they're a bunch of fucking nerds.
Yes.
All right, get it, I guess.
But it's fun.
That sounds like fun. If that's what they like, I'm in for it. And I bet that I would tap my toe to a lute. Or
there's like lute and harpsichord and all sorts of cool history instrument
I care
stuff.
less about harpsichords. I do like harps though.
Yeah. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to be limiting our scope with Europe and the Near East. So we have to go all the way back to the pseudo-before times. So with Rome, the Roman Empire, converting to Christianity in the early millennia, after Jeezy Creasy, dropped it after being on the stick.
Dang. he kind of did do a kind of one of the ultimate mic drops, if it's true.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, I came back from the dead, and now, ka-thunk, I go back to heaven, and he kind of just floats away.
Yeah, that's one interpretation, for sure. But yeah.
I like that idea. That makes it sound kind of fun.
But yeah, with the rise of Christianity within the Roman Empire, there was the push to remove not only just pagan worship centers, but also pagan centers of learning, which is where you get the destruction of the Library of Alexandria and all of its little satellite locations, because it had sub branches of smaller libraries. That's how big it was.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So a lot of librarians, shockingly, even in ancient times, fucking love their books. So when they're being threatened, they're just like, I'm gonna gather my scrolls and go east where people are more enlightened.
I am gonna run with these letters.
Yeah, exactly. And folks that are just like, east, why would they go east? What was in the east? And the answer to that, east of Alexandria, Egypt, was the Arab Empire.
Hell yeah. Get it.
Which is a thing in history that does not get talked about a lot. And I feel like it should be, because it's actually pretty fucking cool. But brief strokes on that. So, I need to stop saying strokes.
Brief brushes on that.
Yeah, brief touching on. You just flicked a knife open.
Well, I have a thing.
Okay.
I need to cut.
You're so armed tonight.
You have so many armaments.
Homie, look, I'm not gonna lie, Jay kind of wigged me out a little bit.
Oh.
Big guy on crack or whatever that
just
talked to me for an hour in your street.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I don't know if we shared that story.
No, I don't think so,
We
but that's
did not.
enough detail.
Yeah.
That's okay. You got your right to bear arms and then your other armaments.
Look, the knife is a tool. Look, I've never stabbed. Well, I've never
The knife
stabbed.
is a tool the size of your fist.
Look, I have never stabbed anyone with that knife.
That is fair.
So it's not a weapon yet.
Yeah.
You could argue that a weapon is just a sort of tool, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a tool for a very specific purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this has not served that purpose, so I can't count it as that tool.
Okay, I see.
I can count it as a screwdriver or a pry bar.
So the Arab Empire started around 633 CE with the Caliph Abu Bakr. And he did this really baller move of starting his empire by being like, hey guys, hey fam, I got a plan. I'm going to invade Persia to take over their land and do my own empire. And the homies were sick. And he's like, and I'm also going to do Rome at the same time. Everybody's like, what? Mad lad. But it worked. You can go listen to the Crusade lecture series for more details on the battlements. I feel like me recreating a Dan Carlin's hardcore history on some of these battles would be boring for now. So, moving on.
Could be kind of fun. But, interjection real quick. Sorry, I'm interrupting again.
Yeah.
But, Grinkind, bravo. I'm proud of you. It is unus.
Unus?
One in Latin. Unus.
Oh, okay, cool.
Pronounced OO-NUS.
Ask him what 2 is, because we have 2 empires that he invaded at the same time. That's Caliph Bakr. So people understand the regions of this. His empire started in what we would today call Iraq, and then he simultaneously attacked the Persians in Iran and the Roman Empire in Syria, which is strategically fucking bananas. But it worked. And this empire will eventually spread to be the largest empire of that time period, stretching from Spain to Pakistan by 711 CE.
Interesting.
Which is crazy. That is super fast for back then, because everything was running by the power of horse. Like, the fastest thing you had was, I trained this pigeon to go home. I put a note on it. I'm going to send this tweet. Poof.
We still measure things in power of horse.
We do measure things in power of horse, but it's like thousands of horse instead of a horse, maybe 2.
This chariot is 3 horsepower. And they're like, 3? How the fuck did you get 3 of them on there?
I strap them together, just one next to the other.
Wow!
Does it make it go faster? No, it only goes the speed of horse.
It's still just go 1 horse.
1 horsepower.
It's 3 horsepower, but speed of 1 horse.
Max speed, horse. Max power, 3 horse.
I'm sorry I went to caveman talk there. Kind of interesting thing, though, about the Arab Empire compared to other empires of that time period. They ran through a series of bureaucracy as opposed to martial conquest. So once they rolled through an area, if there were non-Muslims or the dhimmi, which is a lot of the empire were not Muslims. I think when the Arab Empire first starts out, only 10% of the empire is actually Muslim. And like 60% of the world's Christian population lives in the area of their empire. Like, it's crazy when you look at the math. You're just like, what the fuck? But yeah, so most of the empire is not Muslim. And they're just like, hey, yeah, homie, are you running your neighborhood okay? And they're just like, yeah. And they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, just keep doing that.
Bye.
That's chill.
Yeah, you can, as long as your faith doesn't interfere with the Islamic practices, you can keep doing that. You can maintain your communities and governmental practices. You just had to pay the Jizya tax. I don't speak Arabic. I'm sorry. I'm trying. But the non-Muslim tax is meant to match the Muslim tax, which is part of the 5 pillars of Islam, where it's like, hey, you're supposed to pay a tax to like help take care of the poor people in your community. So they basically maintain that with the non-Muslims being like, hey, you got to pay this amount of tax. I mean, we're not going to give you the exact same rates as a Muslim, but like pretty close. And you just kind of do your own thing. Okay, cool. Okay, bye.
I can dig that.
That seems pretty fair.
Which is a lot better than the Romans who'd come in and like, okay, we killed half your village, the other half we're gonna enslave. If you own land, you're Roman now, so cool. Here's Jesus.
Here's Jesus.
Yeah. I guess it's good I didn't become a history teacher.
Due, D-U-A-E, or duo for 2.
Do not speak that name into this mic. That fucking owl will find us.
Look, that owl's on my phone. We hang out at least for like 5 to 10 minutes every day.
Sure.
I haven't used it in a month. I just keep him there to watch him suffer. I have like the sick owl.
For number 1, if you're denoting a time frame, like the first, it's primum. P-R-E-M-U-M. That's not spelled that way. That's how like you say it. Primum.
Latin is a garbage language.
Yeah, that's... they also pointed out that they are totally ignoring the gender variance as well.
Latin is a garbage language. I'm saying somebody who is an English main. Continuing on. So the center of the Arab Empire ends up being Damascus, which is in Syria. And this was a former Roman city before the Arab Empire took it over, which kind of kept its governing practices more in a Western style and focus, though there ends up being a civil war. So the capital will switch around 762 to this fancy new city called Baghdad.
Ooh.
Cool thing with Baghdad back in the day. They built it up. It had these 2 ringed walls all around it, and it was very just like geometric and looked really fucking cool.
I like that.
And it became this epicenter of learning and enlightenment and all this like, hey, you got cool books you want to bring over and like study? You can come to what we are calling the City of Peace. Madinat al-Salam, as what I think is how it's supposed to be said. I also don't speak Arabic. Continuing the trends of I can't pronounce shit. But yeah, so that's where all the books went for a long time.
How about let's just go over there?
Yeah. The Arab Empire, unfortunately, does slowly start to crumble in the 900s, but that's a note for later.
All right.
And also another thing to keep in mind for this time period as a thing that happens and will come up is the Seljuk Empire. The Seljuks, they come from Central Asia and they kind of move into what is Turkey or Anatolia at this time period. And they basically conquer a lot of the Middle East around 1135 CE. They'll be a major player in this Inquisition story.
Yeah.
But the Seljuk Turks are slightly different than the Ottoman Turks. But that doesn't happen until later and we don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
Cool. And then another player in this whole Inquisition story is also the Roman Empire, which, fun fact, Roman hasn't completely fallen so much as shifted its center of empire to Constantinople, which is in Istanbul. I like We Might Be Giants.
You're sure? Yes. It's even a good song.
Yeah.
We have a friend that we're going to be doing a thing with soon that I used to work with. And he and I would get that song stuck in each other's head back and forth. We did that for like a week and a half.
Literally sharing the brain cell.
It was the worst.
I'm so sorry.
By the end of it, we were just like, Istanbul, and shut up! No!
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause trauma.
You gotta get him back if you're doing something with him in a week.
Yeah.
First thing, you just gotta make eye contact with him and start singing that song.
That's probably what I'll do.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We today will refer to this empire as the Byzantians. That's a little horseshit.
What?
It was something that was put together by a historian named Hieronymus Wolff.
Cool name.
In the 1600s, because he was a German guy doing history, and he's like, I don't like the idea that the Roman Empire will eventually collapse in the 1400s to the Ottoman Turks. Instead, I'm going to say it happened in the 400s because the Goths, who are German, invaded Rome, so that's when Rome falls. Points to the Germans. Aren't I neat?
I mean, I like Sisters of Mercy.
Yes. So
that is neat.
I will, for the purposes of this, be referring to the Byzantians as Romans.
Okay.
There's a lot of lore in World of Darkness that'll refer to this as the Byzantine Empire. In the context of the time period, that's not really a concept or a thing, so...
It's a cool word, though.
It is cool. It's pretty metal, but...
It's not real.
No, not really. It is and it isn't. It's like a concept that we have in modern times, but like in the context of its time period. And anywho, what is also metal? The Crusades, but like in a bad way.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was the appropriate amount of sad. So, fun fact with the Crusades, it starts because of the Norsemen.
See, I wanted to say thanks, guys, but no, I don't think I should say thanks to anyone involved in this, actually.
Yeah, so the Norsemen are Germanic people that settled up in Scandinavia, and as Hunter can attest, Scandinavia, shit place to grow crops.
Yes.
Turns out
when it's cold as balls.
And when the sun doesn't rise for
half the year.
Days.
And the soil is not very nutriently dense.
Or really there.
Yeah.
People wonder why black metal came from there.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I won't get into that. But they had a lot of black metal there for a reason. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Norsemen that lived in this area survived through a combination of trade and raiding because they could not farm. They're like, okay, cool. We can grow sheep, we can fish, we can make cheese.
What else do you need?
I'm also yoked as fuck on this protein diet. I'm going to take your shit and your shit and your shit.
I want greens. You have greens. Give me your greens.
I took these greens from over here and then, oh, hey, I am just little trademan. I have these greens. You want?
Yeah.
I will say I switched to all protein diet and I've been thriving. So I think that was genetically meant for that.
No.
Yeah?
Maybe.
I mean, I eat some fruit and veg too, but
yeah,
large amounts of protein.
A lot of protein.
About 150 grams a day is my goal.
Damn, boy. So kind of fun side fact that I fucking love, and especially in the context of the history of the region and everything. So a portion of the Viking population really, really, really delved into their sagas and whatnot, and were really into it. And there's like, well, our sagas say our ancestors are from Persia. Hey, lads, you want to go to Persia?
Let's go check it out.
Let's go.
Ooh.
So,
I mean, I will say I gotta give it to them. That is some gumption.
They're like, yeah, let's go. So a bunch of the lads in the Vikings got on their boats and they went as far east as they could until they hit mountains. And then they picked their boats up and they carried the boats over the mountains until they got to the Volga River in Russia. And then sailed the Volga River down until they got to the Caspian Sea, and then sailed that down, and then they hit Persia.
Do you think that they ever rowed their boat while they were carrying it down the mountain?
Like one person sat in it while everyone else carried it?
Sure.
Yeah.
You take turns.
Yeah,
Right.
I can.
For like rests. If you got hurt, you got tossed in the boat while you were healing
Oh,
up.
for sure.
That
I
makes
can
sense.
just hear the dude bro Scandinavian argument. It's like, just fucking, no, it is my turn in the boat. No, you had it last week. It is my turn in. It's just very Metalocalypse.
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of arguing.
while carrying a fucking ship.
Yeah, like these fucking longboats. Which, if you ever get a chance to look at the
Those things were big.
they're fucking, some of them fucking huge.
That's why I was like, they call them longboats. They're like tiny ships.
They're they're shallow, so they can go on rivers, but they're big as fuck. And there's a bunch of museums now that have used modern technology to like take really cool video and 3D scans of these fucking Viking longboats.
Okay.
It's cool as shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the Vikings end up having their own empire that ranges from Britain, where they've done a lot of gimme your fucking greens, you nerds, through Scandinavia, into Russia and Ukraine, which is where you get the Kievan Rus folks, and also a portion of northern France, which is called Normandy.
Huh.
So this is where the Normans come from.
Wait, what? No.
Yeah, Normans are essentially French-speaking Vikings, because when the Vikings got to northern France, and they're like, all right, nerd, give me your greens. And they're like, no.
I will not.
And then it's like, I'm taking your greens. He's like, d'accord. And then he's like, hey, I'm your boss now. And he's like, donc quoi? And he's like, you gotta listen to me. And he's like, no. And he's like, fuck, I guess I gotta learn French.
But then once they learned French, it worked.
Yeah, they're just like, oui, it's big X.
I got a big axe. I'll tell you. Oui, whack.
I used to be fluent in French, guys. I need a lot of brushing up, but... Famille Bouche, give me the greens. There, now. Vers maintenant.
I have no idea what you're saying, but I'm just picturing this yoked as fuck Viking guy with a big old axe and saying it just like that.
Yeah, just this goofy little French accent.
Yep.
Yeah, the Normans just cause problems through a lot of the Middle Ages because they're just big as fuck, and they're like, oh, I'm in charge now. I'm gonna go over here and do things. I'm gonna go over here and do things. So leaders of the Normans, leaders within Italy and Constantinople in the Near East kept hiring Norman mercenaries for their conflicts, which led to these yoked as fuck French-speaking Vikings to look at each other and go, you know, we could just be in charge, right? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Let's just do that.
Hold on. You're fighting for him, and I'm fighting for him, and you're fighting for that guy over there. We all just stopped fighting for them. We can just kick their asses.
That's how many of them were just like, oh, it's my cousin, hello, from across the battlefield. You coming to Yule, yes? Okay.
I wouldn't miss it, Sven.
No, it's so dumb. So yeah, so the Normans end up gaining footholds in Italy, Sicily, Anatolia, and Spain. But a portion of those Normans were hanging out with Muslims, and they're like, oh, this is cool. You guys have math and like baths and cool architecture. Yeah, what if I just convert to Islam? So just a whole bunch of Normans that just move to Spain and then convert and just kind of stay there.
Awesome. Love it.
Because it just seems to be a lot of just, I don't know what it is about Vikings that like it's just this fraction of those people that just go to places and they go, oh, this is really cool. Can I just stay here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
they're like, I like it here. This is neat.
yeah, it's just like, what? You do horrifying amounts of violence, but you're just like the weirdest little guy. Okay.
I really like the number 0. It's neat.
It's neat. Also, stars, like star math, that's cool. You guys have books? Because, like, for the longest time, the Vikings didn't really even have, like, a written language.
Right.
So there's like, what the fuck? This is cool. Is this where the books went? This is where they're hiding the books. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, with the Normans fucking around, shockingly, the popes end up getting upsetty spaghetti about this.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time, really.
Is this a slight, small Italy joke? Yes, a little bit. It's fun. So Pope Stephen II hires a bunch of Normans to break Catholic Rome out of the Roman Empire around 756 CE, which starts the Papal States. Because you get Rome out, and then there's Naples, and they just kind of like continue
bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah. And it's just why the Catholic Church now has a bunch of those guys in the funny trousers with the big polearm halberds at Vatican City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It all ties together.
With the goofy pants.
Yeah, just the little lad trousers. I love them. But also, conflict will continue to build because Rome, shockingly, was not happy with the Catholic Papal States like doing their own thing. They're like, hey, that was mine. He's like, no. I hired this Jean-Philippe over here. So the conflict will continue with Constantinople over and over and over again until about 1058 CE. But the way the conflict goes for the longest time is like bitchy paperwork.
Great.
Where
I love that.
the leader of the church in Constantinople is getting bitchy with the Pope. And then they start excommunicating each other's like lackeys, and then each other, and then each other's cities, and then each other's entire countries. They're just like, no, I double dog said you don't get to meet Jesus. Well, I triple dog said you don't get to meet Jesus.
Well, Jesus told me you don't get to meet Jesus.
He's my best friend. Yeah, but with like paperwork and more Latin. And
which we've already established
is a garbage language.
Garbage language.
And this is the split between the Catholic and the Greek Orthodox Church.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Yeah, it's fun. I know the first time we recorded this, we looked up and did verify the head of the Greek Orthodox Church is not a Greek pope, like I had thought initially. There's like a little communal organization in charge of that church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last time, yeah.
Yeah. Like...
Last time we recorded this that they didn't hear. There was a lot of confusion. I think we saved ourselves like 5 minutes there.
Yeah. Because I will give the context of most of my interactions with the Greek Orthodox Church is when I moved to the U.S., I moved to a little neighborhood in the middle of buttfuck nowhere that had 5 churches within a square mile of my house. One of them was a Greek Orthodox church, and I would only show up when they were having like little community festivals because they would sell grandma baklava.
Mm.
So I would just show up and just buy like trays of baklava and leave.
You know,
you said that last time, and
Yeah.
I was like, God, I want some baklava. And then
Did you buy it?
My ADHD let me forget.
Oh, God.
And now you've said it again. Fuck, I want some baklava.
Actually,
devil.
we talked about Greek food so much. My family was like, "Hey, let's go for your dinner. Where'd you like to go?" I was like, "Well, actually, there's this Greek place." So I got some birthday moussaka
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Masaka's good.
and baklava.
Fuck it.
It's a good time.
Get fucked, John.
You missed out.
You just ate.
That's true. I watched it.
We watched you eat sushi.
You tried to eat sushi with a joint, like as a chopstick.
To be fair,
It wasn't a joint. It was a joint, like tube.
Two tubes.
Two joint tubes.
They were too thick for the
They
sushi.
were far too thick. They just kind of smushed things around. That first poor sushi roll was just kind of a blob by the time I gave it up and tried to pick it up.
Not long after this, the two churches unite under the idea of regaining the Holy Land. So they just have this bitchy fight for hundreds of years, separate as two separate entities. And then we're like, you know, we should really get the band back together.
That's true. We should.
So Pope Urban II agrees to work with the Roman Empire Alexios I Komnenos to bring Jerusalem under Roman control at the Council of Piacenza in 1095. Crusades notes. I'm not gonna delve into the Crusades because we'll be here for fucking ever.
That could be its own episode.
It is
Plural.
a 4-part lecture series from an actual college professor that I watched, and each of those episodes is like an hour and a half at least, maybe 2 hours. It's really entertaining. It's
very
fucking
interesting,
fantastic.
That's a lot.
I highly recommend the lecture series by Dr. Roy from the Austin School because he has a good job of covering the time period from not a completely Eurocentric focus, so you actually get to learn about multiple sides of the conflict, which is cool, and one of the better Crusades lectures I've heard ever in my life, so woohoo. And he's also got a good rating on Rate My Professor, so I figured that was a good sign that he wasn't a crackpot.
I like that you look up like lecture series professor and be like, I wonder what their students are saying about them.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just like if I'm going to be citing folks, I try to like not grab complete crap sources as best I can. And it's like one guy giving a lecture series and I was like, God, what's the sound clip? It was just like, have you ever been a member of the Nazi party? I hate to ask. And I was like, he doesn't give that vibe, but I just wanted to like
double check.
Vet, and yeah, he's got like a 4.1. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what? Honestly, on Rate My Professor, that's pretty good. So, hurrah. Basically, for a TLDR on the Crusades, this is a series of religious political wars that last from 1095, until the late 1400s. And I will note that a lot of these conflicts are sanctioned crusades by the Papal Church, but there's also several conflicts that were sanctioned, but they're not officially crusades, and there's also several things that were not sanctioned, and they were also part of this warring time period. There's just a lot of people just getting slaughtered whole cloth on multiple sides. It's a bad time.
Damn.
Yeah.
Homies need to calm down.
Yeah. Though I did want to highlight the very, 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 very first crusade, because you're just like, what the fuck is this? It was called the People's Crusades. So Pope Urban's like, hey, we should do this crusade to regain the Holy Land. And a bunch of yahoos in Germany were like, yeah, we should. Normal folks and some knights were like, yeah, we should go get Jerusalem back. We're going to start our Holy Crusade by slaughtering all of the Jews in our neighborhood and then going south.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So thousands of Jewish people in Germany and the surrounding areas just get massacred, and then they decide to go down south. But because it's a bunch of peasants and a couple of knights, they don't have supply lines or really a plan.
Yeah.
So they just start stealing shit and doing their own raids and just murdering people along the route because, they're off to go claim the Holy Land.
Did it say how many people this was?
I'm
sorry.
In total, I don't think we're going to be able to get exact numbers because,
It's just an unorganized mass.
Yeah, but there's documentation of the time period that there are locations where they're noting like 2,000, 7,000.
Okay, so there were an actual army.
Oh, no, I meant people being slaughtered.
Oh.
The actual people in the People's Crusade, I do not know.
Okay.
It was enough to be such a problem
yeah.
that by the time they marched down to Constantinople, the emperor in the Roman Empire, the Roman emperor at that time was just like, these guys are fucking crazy. I don't fucking want them here. Hey, you guys, go. Yeah, yes. I'm here in the uniting of holy Christendom. Cool. Thanks for coming here, guys. Go stand over there. Hey, Seljuk Turks, here's some money. Just fucking get rid of them. So those people all got slaughtered by the Seljuk Turks.
I mean,
because they're just fucking psychos.
Yeah, can't say I blame them. Can't say I feel terribly bad, but also that is fucking silly.
Yeah. I was like, oh, the People's Crusade, that'll be cool, and then they immediately started off bad.
It immediately is anti-Semitic, and then just gets worse.
Yeah.
I'm kind of okay with them getting wiped out.
Right.
Yeah,
like the church made the right call there. Just like, nope. Restarting that. They shouldn't have started another crusade after that, but put in an end to that one, especially good move.
Yeah, so so this is like technically the first crusade, but it's not counted as the first crusade, so it's the People's Crusade. And I'm just like, see what happens when you just let mass hysteria and church and state come together without, rationality.
Yay!
Woo! Though, a note I will kind of put at the end for at least the context of the Crusades and who's, what, when, where, and how. Europeans will maintain a major force within the Middle East until 1291 CE with the Siege of Acre, which is in the Levant region. So for those who have been keeping track, the Dark Ages setting game happens in the 1230s. So the big push to get Christendom out of the Middle East kind of happens like 60 years after that game setting happens. But I've played a Dark Ages games where people just are kind of like a little fuckety with the time. But
that's fair.
So that's kind of who is where, when, how, rough of that on the mortal side of things, the historical context. Now we get to the fake history with the War of Princes.
Yeah. I
So,
prefer terrible happenings in fake history.
Yeah. So that's what the mortals were doing. Who wants to read the quote about what the vampires were doing?
I remember there's a couple quotes in this episode. I'll take the first one. I think I took this one last time. He set the crown upon my head. He called for incense and music and offerings. He told the city I was to be their king. And those who might speak against me did not, for I showed them one portion of my power, and they feared me. That's from the Euryses fragments for Enoch.
I just thought that was a pretty metal quote.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yep.
So, for the vampire sides of coinciding with all of that, basically from ancient times until about the 1200s, European vampires viewed that period as what is called the Long Night, quote unquote. A prosperous time where vampire lords controlled their fiefdoms in relative peace.
Oh, great job, guys.
Yeah, it's like, the mortals are squabbling, but we are the overlords, actually.
We can be civil.
Yes. Civil.
Yeah, just while quietly backstabbing each other instead of actually, committing wars against each other.
Yeah. And then the stabbing started happening in the front because paralleling the various crusades, vampire lords beset military campaigns to further their claims of power.
I like that the stabbing went from stabbing in the front.
Yeah,
Very
front
good.
stabbing.
Front stab.
It was common practice for these elders to not only use oaths of loyalty, but also use blood bonding and mass embraces as a way to bolster their forces.
Gross.
Yeah. in the medieval period, it was the first time the vampire generation slipped beyond the 12th gen.
And they were not okay with it.
No, a lot of people freaked the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And
13's a bad number.
Yeah, 13's unlucky.
Ooh.
So that, and due to the long-standing tales of Gehenna, combined with the violence of the era, many elders hid in their castles along with lashing out against their younger brethren. So they're like 4D chessing, but also having weird paranoia, just being like, oh, you know, hey guys, you know that thing we've been talking about that we thought was crazy is like kind of happening now? I'm gonna go inside. Here, I've embraced like 3 of you. You go outside.
Good thing they stopped doing that.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Totally. I would like to say I am shocked at how often players, like, in-game will be like, you know what we should do? Embrace a couple people to help us out with this.
Fuck.
And I'm like, why?
God, okay.
It's shocking how often that happens.
I think STs need to be more strict about the right to embrace. That's usually a really big deal. We've covered that before. It should be a much
bigger deal. It's like one of the main traditions. It's one of the 6.
Yeah, especially in the Camarilla town, you can't just do that.
You can't just do that.
That's like the whole plot, intro plot of Bloodlines, is that happens and they find out and someone's killed. That's the intro plot of one of the...
That is the intro video of Bloodlines.
Yeah, of Bloodlines, and also one of the visual novels.
Yeah, there's a lot of vampire plot based on somebody did an embrace where they're not supposed to. Now we have to figure out who did what to whom and do an execution.
Yeah. Somebody's gotta die.
We gotta not do this. And also, it's a horrifying thing just to do to somebody. I think we all forget that.
Yeah.
Especially in a current game we're all in. People are just suggesting embraces willy-nilly. And I'm like, guys, that's like extra murder.
That's double murder.
That's murder plus. That's murder plus because they're technically alive through it and they're watching themselves internally slowly die in this Kafka-esque like web of just deceit and Theseus in your own consciousness. Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Why would you just do that to someone? That's insane.
Well, because then I have an apprentice.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm already tired. It is also suggested within the text of the Dark Ages books that many of these elders, and even Methuselah that were walking around, because this is early enough in the canon lore that Methuselah are just kind of around.
Just demigods being like, hey, how's it going, Steve? Yeah, I'm doing all right. Hold on, let me go slaughter this army.
Yeah. Just like, when did we start letting the French in here? Thought they were living in mud huts. I'm like, bro, that was like 500 years ago. Oh, shit.
Really?
Huh.
Oh, all right, then.
They still have goofy accents.
I like this metal you've been working with recently.
Yeah, this is cool. But yeah, so the elders and the Methuselah are walking around and doing all of these wars against each other and plots and stuff. Might actually just be carrying on the wars and being puppets of the antediluvian.
Of course.
Weird.
I wonder
if that parallels things happening now. Anyways, it becomes more and more common during this time that Ancilla and even neonates are able to claim the title of prince and fight brutally to hold their claims.
So princes were actually doing princely stuff. At least more traditionally princely stuff. Yeah,
so it's kind of a mix of the title of prince is usually in ancient and up until medieval times, that title just would go to the eldest in that community. It was just like, well, you're the oldest, so there you go.
Interesting.
It's just your hat. And then when the Middle Ages happen and the War of Princes slowly starts to crank up and become an actual thing, a lot of younger vampires are like, fuck you, it's my hat. Like, I've raised all the armies, I've done all this work, I have all the connections, and da-da-da-da. Fuck you, Dad, it's my hat.
I made a new hat.
So it becomes more of a power thing and less of just an age thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like if you're able to name it and claim it and keep it, you could, which is very new for Vampire Society at that point for the groups. And it's also not too dissimilar from how Christian Europe sought to reclaim the glory of Rome and wider Christendom through crusades, in contrast to the rise of Islam and all of those empire things. And then Cainites, on the flip side, were also having, tales of Enoch in Carthage, and they're just like, oh, well, I can kick ass and do this too. Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a library.
This is my hat. There's also a lot of really fun historical fashion YouTube history things that talk about the different kinds of headwear from this time period. It's fucking fascinating. There's a wide variety of hats and ways of wearing them.
I bet they are very silly.
Some of them are silly because the amount of fabric you had was a direct correlation to the amount of wealth you had. So there would be hats with this long as fuck skinny tail.
And it's supposed to be like, wow, that's a rich hat.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, humans don't change, do we? Anywho.
I don't have any big long hats.
We should get...
I'm not wealthy, though.
That's fair. But
I think of the longest hat I have.
What's the most voluminous hat?
Most voluminous hat. I do have like a pointy, like felt gnome hat. I suppose that would count.
Yeah.
That's a long hat. That's probably the longest hat I have.
That feels very on brand for you.
I have that and some ski masks. I don't think I have anything like in between.
Just a ski mask and a gnome hat.
I've got...
That's how you rob people whimsically.
Fuck yes.
Love that.
You may be keeping you wallet, but I be needing them shoes.
They get really mad because they're Jordans.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, yeah, I'm stealing high tops.
You're like, I ain't picky. I just need them shoes.
Why do you think people think gnomes are cobblers?
So, lore within several of the books, particularly Dark Ages British Isles and the Dark Ages core books, state that Constantinople falls in 1204 CE, which is the inciting incident for the War of Princes.
Oh.
Which is not accurate at all historically.
Okay, that's good.
Fun fact, during 1204 is the Fourth Crusade, which Constantinople does get sacked, and it does fracture the Roman Empire into 3 parts.
3 parts.
But the Latin Empire of Constantinople does not truly fall until 1453 when it is conquered by the Ottoman Empire, and I will fucking die on this goddamn hill.
About 250 years later.
Yeah.
Here's how you make this make sense in your lore. When it was sacked, the vampires in Constantinople, their society was destroyed.
Well, kind of, yeah, because in the lore, that was when my Archangel Michael gets et.
Oh, yeah. We talked
Not
about
just
that.
his pussy, all of him.
Every single
girl.
bit.
Damn, girl. We talked about that in the Toreador episode. You can go listen to that.
I approve.
Okay, cool.
Get in there. To the episode, I mean.
I don't know if I'd want to eat out Archangel Michael's pussy because he's like a stained glass. I feel like that's asking for trouble.
Yeah, you could hurt yourself on that.
Like, you bare minimum need a dental dam.
Damn. A dental dam.
Sorry, just John looks stressed.
I
now.
love it. It hurts, but I love it.
The justification I try to give, at least in the context for all of this tomfoolery, is if you look at the lore for Dark Ages, it's kind of written in the context of the people living in that time period, and it's kind of hard to judge history whilst you're living in it. I have no idea what the fuck that's like.
No.
So vampires and Canaanites and all that at the time period might have been like, well, shit, I guess it fell.
Yeah.
Yeah. The world is falling. The world, everything's on fire. Fuck.
I like the idea, especially like pre-internet or even like any sort of like digital news, that they're just like, yep, it's gone. All the vampires are dead. Must be gone.
It isn't, but like...
I'm not going to look into it.
Again, everything travels at speed of horse.
Or bird.
Bird. And unless somebody's willing to spend a fuckload of vitae to celerity marathon a thing, or use their vampire powers to use like telepathy.
I wonder...
The Malkavians could
How
know
much
instantly, I guess.
They should. They're just not sharing.
That's also a thing they don't do sometimes, so that's...
They're just like, I tried to tell you, but you didn't listen to me last week when I told you about the cheese.
Okay, man.
It's like, Constantinople fell, and I'm like, nah, it's fine. What? It's like, Ahmed told me it's fine.
It's
like, who?
Okay.
The fuck?
What are we talking about it right now? I'm so confused.
Istanbul.
Yeah. What?
What? Who's in Istanbul? Who's Istan?
We're not talking about Istanbul. We're talking about Constantinople.
I don't know who this Lord Bull is. But I've gotten nary a note.
Nor a pigeon feather.
From this Lord Bull. I don't care. You should care, though, because the burning times.
That does sound pretty unpleasant.
Yeah.
But pretty metal.
It is also sounds
Also
pretty
does
metal.
sound metal.
So the burning times is an in-canon term used to refer to the era of the First Inquisition in Europe. This does ignore the proclamation of red tears that affects the ministry in the 1100s, because even in VTM, the vampires are Eurocentric as fuck.
Damn. Sorry, ministry.
It's like, sorry, you're getting fucked up by Inquisition guys like 100 years earlier, and we should have listened to you, and we didn't. You fell into a diaspora, and now you're just completely fucked up as a clan. Whoops.
Shit, why are all these, Inquisition agents here? I'm confused.
Why are they trained? They just popping out of the snow like daisies. Popping out of the sand like asps, I guess.
There's literally no possible way we could have known this was going to happen.
There's no way. There was no one warning us at all. Shut up. Within the canon, the term "the Burning Times" is coined by canonical NPC Aisling Sturbridge of Clan Tremere. For those who are trying to remember who the fuck this bitch is, she's the lady on the cover of Clan Tremere Revised. She's also in the New York by Night Chronicle books in Old World. And if you play Coteries of New York, she's that Tremere step on me mommy with the red trench coat and the long dark hair.
Interesting.
She always looks very cool. I did not know her name. I don't like her name as much.
She's from the 1800s.
I don't forgive her for that.
It's just peak. 1800s was the peak time of, if you speak English and you have a name, your name is gonna fucking suck.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Fair.
I think Aisling is pretty cool.
Aisling's cool.
Aisling's not bad. It's the Aisling Sturbridge altogether for some reason.
Sturbridge is kind of a bad last name. I'll give you that. But Aisling sounds like a name that someone from the Midwest would change their name to when they moved to New York to become a conceptual artist.
Yeah, or just somebody
you
also
made it sound a lot less cool.
Somebody in the Midwest who discovered they're non-binary and they're trying on names. I feel like Aisling, if it's not the one they land on, they try it for a while and then end up on Arson. Arson's a cool non-binary name.
It is.
So, yeah, if you're gonna skip over all the plant-based ones, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta go there, then to Aisling, then.
So, a little note about the Inquisition per the Vampirica, or Encyclopedia Vampirica, if one of you wishes to read it.
That's so long. Mortal historians use Mortal historians use Inquisition as the term for the terrible face of the Catholic Church, presented to the world from 1231 to 1834. But Kindred, who have a certain survival instinct, know that the Inquisition did not die in the 19th century, but exists in modern nights and is more terrible than ever. Elders tell stories about defectors from the Inquisition's ranks who betrayed their Cainite masters, Ventru and Lasombra. Presumably, both kindreds still sit on some unknown dungeon where they are tortured by Inquisition witch hunters. So there's a Ventru and Lasombra somewhere, just getting tortured.
Tortured, chained together, just fucking, it's the worst buddy comedy.
Also, I think that just them chained to walls on the opposite side of a room staring at one another would be torture enough for them.
Just two tops.
Yeah.
Just mad as fuck.
They're just like, I'm gonna top you. And they're like, no, sir, I'm gonna top you.
Yeah, and then, the Inquisition guys get tired of it and just stake them both. It's like, would you just fuck already?
Shut up. You fuck already.
It's like they literally can't.
You can
They're
literally
chained.
take turns, okay, guys? Just, it's fine. You can both be top. Just take turns.
You do it on the side. Technically, you're both top. Anywho. Dark Ages texts do suggest that various Cainites used the Church and the Inquisition to root out enemies during the War of Princes and may have funded aspects of the Inquisition before it got out of hand.
Maybe.
Weird.
I won't be talking about that anytime soon.
Not at all.
It's not like history is a circle.
Time is not a flat circle. Also, why the fuck would anyone do this?
It'd be crazy if it wasn't just Cainites, too.
Yeah.
Wild, even.
Wild, crazy.
It's like, I could kind of see it almost if, the Cainite was, not old and was still learning the, you got plenty of time, homie.
You're like, I can manipulate the shit out of humans. Look at this dominate I have. You sit. Look.
Yeah, exactly. Or they're short-term gains. I gotta go fast still, where an older vampire who would probably still do this.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's out of cockiness.
Yeah.
I can control it. It's fine.
How long is he gonna live? 50 years tops? They don't have they don't brush their teeth.
Right.
They forgot what that is.
Being anachronistic back then is brushing your teeth.
Yeah. Being anachronistic in the Dark Ages is fucking washing your hands and doing math.
Also, specifically, I think those two clans are important because they both have ties into hierarchies of the time and the churches of the time. Which is one of the major hierarchies, the Ventru and the Lasombra. And if they already have a lot of their tendrils into these communities, and then they see the church finding about vampires and witches and whatnot, and like, we should get rid of them, saying, well, I can't just tell them that's not real, but I can guide them towards my enemies.
Like, yes, sure, you know what, Bishop, you're right. This is actually a problem. How can I best help you in your pursuits?
Right.
The vampires over there, and the Ventress over there. The vampire's actually over there in the church.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That man is full of darkness. You should really enlighten him on the good word.
Right, yes.
By suspending him from a ceiling.
And showing him the light of day.
Mm-hmm. Truly, it's the grace of God.
Yes.
Because again, even in like a modern game, you're not going to be able to tell an Inquisition member, oh, you got it all wrong. Those things don't exist. But you might be able to point them in a different direction than you. Yeah. Best case scenario.
You might be able to Mr. Bean them.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I wasn't expecting the Dolby Digital surround sound of Mr. Bean sound. I wasn't ready. Oh, God. I might end up watching a bunch of that tonight.
It's good. This sounds serious. I have a bunch of Mr. Bean on VHS. I was going to point. It's UFO tapes and Mr. Bean.
I feel like that's the correct energy for this room right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so given some of the IRL context of the time period, it kind of makes the audacity of the vampires make way more sense, weirdly enough. And it does also tie to the Ventru Lasombra constantly just butting heads because they just won't fuck.
Yeah.
So, in the early medieval church, it was far more open for heresy to just kind of be a thing that happens as opposed to later time periods.
Cool.
Because in the early medieval period, heresy was originally seen as basically a Christian not following their own dogma correctly. That's all it was. So if you weren't a Christian, you couldn't be a heretic because you weren't a Christian.
Fuck, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Being a heretic's cool.
We'll get to why it becomes metal later.
Oh, okay, yeah. Got it.
Currently, right now, is just somebody that's just like, Jim didn't do the thing. I gotta write him up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also
Jim loaned someone money and expected a little bit extra to come back.
Yeah, just various other little dogmatic things. But this was a fairly common problem in the early medieval period due to the actual lack of education of the clergymen.
Okay. They were like, I don't know how to read.
They're just like, I'm here to spread the good word of the Lord. Their little feet took them faster than, like, the literature followed.
Yeah.
So they're just off in the middle of fucking, in ye olde times, nowhere, just in the wilds of Ireland, preaching about Jesus. But they didn't have their ducks in a row because they also couldn't read.
Right.
So it was kind of a vibes-based thing, and it was a lot more chill.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a lot of more open acceptance to like religious doubt, like even very fundamental questions about how a Christian should practice their own faith. And that's probably due to a lot of just they didn't have a centralized dogmatic book thing quite settled down yet.
Yeah.
And so it's fun if you get into like the theology aspects in the medieval period and you're just reading like academics arguing with each other about whether or not like certain things that we consider to be very fundamental to be Christian are still just like, I don't know, like, is the Trinity a thing?
Oh, that's cool.
You know, so that's kind of like, that's kind of neat.
I mean, that's partially why we have so many different types of Christians even now.
Yeah, that circles around and comes back to yes, but not quite there.
No,
but there's a lot of like different thoughts on different ways to practice this fucking old as balls religion. And there was also just a lack of education in the wider populace. So even if you did have a guy that was like, all right, I got a book, I know what I'm talking about. These fuckers can't read.
Mm-hmm.
And they
He's
also
got to have story time every week.
Yeah, and for most people in early medieval Europe, it was lucky if they were able to even access a sermon once or twice a year, let alone regularly.
Right.
So just because they live so far away from a church?
Yeah.
And, I mean, if you were there, you probably didn't even move at speed of horse.
Yeah, and there's also just not the expectation of, well, you have to go. There's like, hey, it'd be cool if you went to church.
You should probably do it.
And they're like, yeah, Father, totally will. Yep.
I know we're going to talk about it more too, but also the people who are like really into it probably just end up like being monks and stuff.
Yeah, they're just like in the church already.
Yeah. Or joined it.
Yeah. Or they're just like, well, I have like 6 extra sons. You're going to go into this monastery. You're going to go to that monastery. And as you do with extra sons.
If I had extra sons, that's what I would do.
Send them to monastery.
Could you still do that? Just pre-planning.
I mean, you could probably suggest that they go to... We do have a monastery. I think we have a Dominican monastery in Indianapolis.
Could I send my white children to become monks at the Dominican monastery?
They aren't that kind of Dominicans, but yes, as far as I know. I only found out that monastery was in Fountain Square because I was going to be doing cosplay photos with a friend, and we went behind the building, just being like, "Oh, this is like a cool brick building." Da-da-da. And then like 3 dudes in robes.
Oh.
Like my actual monk robes came out, and I was dressed like a whore.
Perfect.
And then I was just like, "Hey guys," and just left, like waved, because we're in the Midwest. And that's just how I solve a lot of problems: is just wave and be really friendly and leave.
It usually works.
Yeah, just because people are just so thrown off that they just go to their social programming of, oh, pleasant voice. Okay, hi, bye.
It works. So you're telling me no?
Maybe.
Find another monastery. Got it.
I didn't say you couldn't send them to that one. There's others, but yes.
It might not take them, but after that point, I send them away so they can figure it out.
They can go farther.
God has a journey for them.
That's fair. But given all of those complications, heresy was a rather common sin that could be corrected through confession and penance. It really wasn't seen that big of a deal, and the church also didn't have the authority to force you to do penance or confession. So if somebody got really on their high horse and they're like, hey, you're doing a heresy, you could just fuck off.
You'd be like, nah, I'll just go over there.
It's just like, God, this pastor's so fucking annoying. What if I just went a county over? Solve the problem.
It would take you like a week. But yeah, you could do it.
So, fun fact, also with the medieval church, it was also the largest landholder in Europe, and with the medieval economy being what it is, if you have a lot of land, that's a lot of wealth and power. And when you have a lot of wealth and power, a lot of debauched shit happens. Mm-hmm. Especially because a lot of the monasteries where, like, the wine and the beer brewing was happening, and...
They were getting into their own supply.
Yeah, and it also wasn't illegal to fuck yet.
So they were just having, like...
Yeah.
The time of their life.
Some of them. Monastery. Yeah, it's like, how else do you explain all those snails in the margins? And just the weird horny doodles in the old books.
I'm not gonna lie, I always assumed that was because they weren't allowed to be fucking, and they were like, I just want to be fucking.
Later.
I'm gonna draw this guy with a wiener.
In a wheelbarrow.
In the shape of an R.
Later.
Okay.
There wasn't any proper Catholic doctrine against people in the church having kids. We'll get to that.
Another pre-planning. If I get a Knight's Tale to become a monk.
There you go.
You don't need to do any of this stuff. Just be like, no, I'm here to be a monk.
Like, look, I'm brewing beer. I'm taking notes. Mm-hmm. Honestly, pretty sweet gig.
Yeah, bring on the whores. Let's go.
They need confession. I'm going to stop now. You have to pay us extra for that audio.
Aha!
So... during the medieval period, with all of the debauched nonsense, reform movements often called for a return to a simple lifestyle more like Jesus. And this threatened to upend the power of not only the church, but the entire power structure of European society.
It's a little bit of a problem for them.
For the power structure, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cathars, Franciscan monks, and the Crusaders, like the Templars. The Crusaders weren't necessarily calling for like a return to a simple, more, Jesus-y lifestyle. It was more the Crusaders became these roving gangs of religious thugs with a fuckload of money because they stole it. Doing real P. Diddy shit.
Yeah.
Which is a dark joke, but it's correct. And then there was also various popular uprisings, like Joan of Arc, where people were just like, oh yeah, this lady heard the word of God, and now we're gonna fight for France, and now France is a big thing. And the church is like, no, we're the ones that talk to God, and she's not allowed to wear pants.
She's wearing armor and pants.
Fuck.
I can't remember. My old school hunter lore is not as strong as others. Isn't she like one of the imbued? I know she is canonically something.
So I believe she's one of the.
I think she's like maybe one of the first. I can't remember.
Oh, she can't be one of the first, but yeah, she's probably an imbued of some sort. I don't remember. I did not look that up for this. I apologize. I have failed everyone.
I could do a follow up.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, these kinds of forces all together combine to make the most direct threats to the papal and state power, because these are two separate things, technically. It gets complicated.
No. In Vampire?
No. Well, even in like real world, like the differences between like church and state power is kind of wonky, because the concept of like the nation state isn't really a thing.
Right.
But there are kings and their vassals happening, and then you have the church and their thing, and it gets a little like crisscrossed applesauce at times.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So while the church tried to handle these social heresy cases on an individual level, it wasn't uncommon for these cases to spill out into mob rule with public floggings and lynchings. It became a problem. Because the church is like, okay, we're going to send some people out to like ask some questions and, try to figure out what's going on and correct the problem and go about our days. And then some folks really did not like the Cathars because they did their things wrong and various other. Yeah, it can get wild. The church specifically during the early medieval time period did not want violence due to it going against not only Christian doctrine, it undermines their authority.
That's fair.
Because if the public is like, we're doing a murder for Jesus, they're like, only we do things for Jesus. And also, you're not supposed to murder people.
For Jesus.
Regardless. For Jesus.
I feel like
specifically
doubly
for Jesus.
So.
Yes.
Doubly so, actually.
So they set about creating an orderly system to try and, convert and suss out heretics. And then if the case proceeds enough where the heretic needs to be handed over to secular authorities, they'll get handed over. Because the church technically at this time didn't have the authority to, like, commit violence or, like, punish people, like, punitively.
Okay.
So what they did is they did everything through weird social pressure.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, this attempt at the early system didn't really stem the tides of these various kind of conflicts, and you end up with something like the Cathar Crusade in 1209 to 1229, where just a fuckload of people were getting slaughtered, and the church was like, please stop doing that, and they're just like, what? I can't hear you over the sound of me getting rid of these heretics for you. I don't know, they're talking French, I don't care.
Stab, stab, stab.
Stab, stab, stab.
I like that.
Stab, 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 burn.
Yeah.
The church has done a lot of bad things in this history we've talked about, but it seems like some of the worst of it is just not members of the church who are also Christian, just like, we're going to do this for you, and the church is like, hey, don't do that. And then they like, okay, well, now we're going to do it properly afterward.
Yeah, because again, news and information traveled at the speed of horse.
Yes.
So the church would be like, hey, don't do that. And by the time the guy got there with the don't do that, they're like, we already, like, took care of that.
We did that, and actually in the next village,
we're on the way to number 3, so should we stop? And by the time they get the return message,
Yeah.
They're on 5.
Yeah, it's like the worst game of telephone. So the Inquisition was set up as the formal process in 1215 CE with the Fourth Lateran Council. So this comes with communion and confession are mandatory at least once a year. They would prefer once a week, but once a year.
Okay.
That's how bad attendance was. They're like, please, just show up for Christmas.
One time a year.
Just once. Easter, Christmas, pick one.
Christmas, yeah.
Easter's the one you want to go to. There's usually food. There's like Easter egg hunts and stuff. Christmas is just extra long and boring. Christmas service, that's the one everyone wants to go to, but it's not actually the best. Secret, go to the Easter one.
Oh, yeah.
That one's more positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I don't know that they had Easter egg hunts then.
This is a tip for our listeners and not our listeners' player characters in the Dark Ages game.
Okay, got it.
You as a listener should, if you're gonna go once a year, I'm just
saying Easter's the one.
Easter.
The one.
Yeah. Bishops were charged with actively rooting out heresy within their parishes. The Dominican monks that I mentioned before were created during this time period specifically to help facilitate this, and there were also the monks that had the direct line to the Pope, so they can like go to authority and be like, hey Popey, things happening, and then the Pope can give them answers, and then fuck off. Imagine having infrastructure. I'm an American, so I can't. Accusations of heresy ran on a guilty until proven innocent process, giving the accused a year to prove their case. This was typically done by some community member in good standing attesting to the accused's orthodoxy according to the Catholic faith. So somebody's like, they're doing a heresy, so hopefully one of your neighbors shows up and is like, nah, he's cool, don't worry about it.
But they also have to be in good standing.
Yep.
Man, we're fucked.
Yep.
I'm probably good.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Are you?
I can use you. You're in good standing with the Catholic Church?
I know some Catholics. I have some Catholic family.
I don't think that counts.
My family seems to like me, and they're pretty Catholic now.
I thought they were Lutheran.
It's weird. We were raised Lutheran, and then just like a whole sect of my family just became Catholic over the course of like a year.
It's like watching a Pokemon devolve to their earlier evolutionary form. It's like, what? You were
confused.
I'm not judging them. It was just a surprise to me.
You were a Raichu like 2 weeks ago. What the fuck? But anyways, penitent heretics could show their penitence for I did a heresy, let me commit a crime, by either like wearing a yellow cross, you can spend some time in prison, you can join a monastery, or other acts of service. Kind of just depended on who was in charge of your thing and how bad was it, and yada yada yada. Acquittals and appeals did happen in this process. That's part of the Dominicans did, is if somebody was like, I've been accused of heresy and I think that was unjust, they can like beseech a Dominican bishop or monk of some sort, and then he can run up the chain of command and yada yada yada. Though I did get a fun fact in the Esoterica lectures that I thought was fun. So the local bishop threw out the inquisitor and author of the Malleus Maleficarum out of his town for being too obsessed with the sexuality of local women.
Hell yeah. Good job, buddy. He's like, you're kind of a creep. Could
bruh, the vibes, they're awful.
They're not good.
I've read your book, man. You got problems.
And if the bishop and monks are being weirded out by your hypersexuality, from what we've heard so far, that you're doing something extra weird.
Yeah, just you're scaring the hose. Stop it. Those that are convicted and unrepentant as heretics will be excommunicated. Their titles and lands are stripped. The lands will be kept by the church. That's kind of how they funded the Inquisition. That's not a conflict of interest at all.
No.
And then the convict would be passed to secular authorities, where they would be burned.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Though it wasn't uncommon for people to bribe their local authorities to strangle the guilty before they were burned alive.
So if, like, a friend of yours was like, you're gonna get burned, brother, and you were like, okay, all right, I got you, and you would bribe someone so that they didn't have to get burned. Your friend didn't have to get burned.
Alive, yeah. No, it's like, well, your friend has to get burned.
Well, right. I mean alive.
Yeah, it's just like, I can just choke him out a bit. I was like, you could choke him out fully, like, I'll pay extra. What's the platinum package?
The platinum. Oh my god.
Does it make it better or worse if he's kind of into it?
That's where the heresy started. Fuck.
And that's where the heresy started.
Shucks. Secular authorities were expected to align their laws with the church. This ultimately does create a tension between the church and the secular authorities. Because what ends up happening is you have the state saying, why have laws if there can't be punishment? Because, there's people that are committing heresy and then they're being repentant to the church and they're like not really being punished for their crimes. But I'm supposed to be writing laws that follow what the church doctrine says. So like, what the fuck am I even doing?
Right.
Which feels like a very Ventrue thing. And then you have the La Sombra that are like, why have confessions if the sinner's going to get murdered regardless? Like, people won't confess to crimes if you keep ganking them.
We just punch him in the head every time.
Yeah. It's like...
And by punched him in the head, I mean...
burned
them
at the
alive.
stake. Yeah. Which I feel is like the La Sombra, like, I can't keep testing him if he's fucking dead.
Right.
I get bored. I need enrichment in my enclosure. So yeah, that's
I feel like we're
kind
of still having that debate to this day.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It's tough.
That's all I gotta say at this sleepy hour.
That's fair.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Tough.
The Inquisition lacked the authority to press reform or confessions from a heretic, and so their process was mostly social pressure, which also feels like a very La Sombra thing to do. It's like, I'm just gonna bully him. I'm just gonna set everything up so if they don't show up, I'll make somebody else do it.
Everybody dislikes them.
Everyone will dislike you. They'll know you did it.
There's also a note there I think you skipped over that was
did I?
particularly interesting.
Oh, note. During this time period, it was often secular authorities and even church folks that practiced and studied the occult and magical arts. So questioning those practices was fairly uncommon.
Yeah.
Huh.
You had to read to do a lot of that old school magic.
Yeah.
And guess who was reading and writing?
Secular authorities and church people.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing up that note. I did not mean to skip over that. Yeah.
I feel like modern magic has gotten so far away from it that I think a lot of people forget like how religious a lot of occult practice is.
Like from earlier days. Yeah, it's
like even up until like fairly recent, it was pretty.
Yeah, it's.
I feel like even more like modern media and occultists have really like decentralized a lot of the religious focus in religion, especially with like chaos magic and stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, a lot of them are still quoting a lot of these old religious and using these figures. I think people just figure like that's just part of their belief, though. Like they weren't just a wizard who also like was using Judaism. They were Jewish folk who are creating their own occult practice based on their Judaism. Yeah. Same with Christians and Muslims. And...
Yeah, that was actually somewhat, when we get more into the cranking up of the Inquisition, it was not uncommon for people to be accused of heresy for doing a magic. And people were like, we kind of need him though, so like stop. Or like, that's kind of my bro. Like, yeah, he's doing a little, like, late necromancy on the side, but, like...
It's to help us. Like, they're just talking, asking questions.
But, bro, have you had challah bread?
It makes some real good challah bread.
For real, though, challah bread's so fucking good. So, back to the Inquisition. Technically, because it's the church lacking the authority to try people for crime, so they end up in this weird... pseudo having a court, but not really, and it's also a lot of social pressure. So it's like, if you refuse to appear or to take part in your own tribunals, that would just lead to your assumed guilt and punishment by authorities, by the secular authorities.
Oh,
because you're presumed guilty until proven innocent, which is a horrible way to do things.
Yeah,
it's one thing I will give Team USA for, the innocent before guilt thing. I'm like, yeah, that's correct. That one I will USA. But the fun thing, because it was the medieval period, it wasn't uncommon if you got accused of heresy to just fuck off to the next county.
Again, it'll take you a week to get there, but then no one knows you and no one will ever find you.
Even during your own tribunal, if they're accusing you of things, they can't keep you there. They don't have the authority, so you can just fuck off. Like, you don't have to stay.
Actually, I don't feel like being caught on fire later. I'm gonna go.
And you have a year.
Yeah.
You have a year to prove your innocence.
Yeah.
Year to a week. That was a note that, re-listening to things I should have added into the script. But yeah, you have like a year to a week, depending on if it's a bishop or your local guy.
That's fair.
There's finagly pseudo-judicial things. But yeah, you could have up to a year, which is plenty of time to get maybe even 4 counties over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're fucking, even by horsepower.
By horsepower, you might be able to get like 6.
Wow.
7.
So records of executions at that time, there's a bunch of different records from different areas and how like accurate they are, but at least a percentile I kept seeing in the lectures that I was given was like around 7%.
So not close to as high as you would imagine.
Yeah.
Still
more than it should be.
Far too high, in fact.
So this early medieval period, Inquisition was killing in regions as like little to 0 to 3 people a year.
See, 0?
Yeah.
Great number for that.
Great number for that.
Great number for burning people. 3, bad number for burning people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Gets a lot worse.
Yeah. Torture becomes a tool used due to a papal bull that it happens on May 15th, 1252, as a response to an assassination of an inquisitor by a Cathar.
Now, I remember we talked about this last time, and I forgot. What is a papal bull? Is that like that's an important decree, right?
That is an important decree. The papal bull comes down to basically the note has been notarized by the Pope.
That's right. It's been notarized or sealed.
Yep.
It's like, I believe we looked up, it's like a specific seal last time, so.
Yeah, because not Catholic. Technically, my American side of the family is German Catholic, but I stopped going to that when I was like 7.
My mom taught at a Catholic church.
Yeah.
We're not Catholic.
Okay.
Sometimes they just need teachers.
Yeah.
She got fired.
For what?
Not being Catholic.
They couldn't say that.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was just making a joke, but damn.
Damn. Fuck that school.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
if I watched Sister Act with my family over the recent holidays, and they could have really turned things around if they'd kept her around.
So, torture was supposed to only be applied one time, and any confession made under torture had to be reaffirmed later on without duress. Because even in the medieval period, they were like, torture is a bad way to get information, and it is a garbage thing. It's like, we done known for
that.
ages that torture's bad.
It's not good.
No.
It's not good.
Yeah, so torture was held as an absolute last resort until the late 1300s.
When they were like, actually, let's just start off.
Because one guy, Inquisitor General Nicolas Emmerich of Catalonia in Spain. Spain keeps fucking around.
Mm-hmm.
Spain, get it together.
Fucking, did you see the thing in the news recently about the King of Spain and the new Mexican president?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Apparently they're having beef because King of Spain wanted to come over to Mexico, and she was like, you need to apologize to our indigenous people.
Okay.
And he was like, nah. So she's like, you can't come to Mexico.
Let's go.
And I'm like, girl, yes, let's go.
Damn.
Let's go. First lady president for Mexico. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So Emmerich decided to push to lowering the bar on when to apply torture, how it's applied, and whom qualifies for torture.
Come on, dude.
Damn.
Just one fucking incel ruins it for everyone constantly. I swear to God.
That's how it goes.
So this authority was pumped up in the early 1300s for more forceful canon laws. It's kind of like there's like a rolling series of texts with Emmerich just kind of being like the pinnacle linchpin of like problematic theoretical theory on how the Inquisition should be working.
Mm.
So everyone knows the Malleus Maleficarum, classic, great thing. I feel like in terms of
great thing.
I feel like in terms of books that lead to atrocities, it's like it's S tier. No, it's A tier because S tier is Mein Kampf. A tier is Malleus Maleficarum.
It's kind of hard. That's a hard competition because
Yeah.
Malleus Maleficarum lasts a lot longer.
It does. Well, like in terms of like
At the height of its
the
power.
notoriety of like terrible, awful texts that are just like, ooh, this is an edgy thing to have in your house. I think in contemporary times we have like Catcher in the Rye, Mein Kampf. In ye olde times, it was the Malleus Maleficarum.
And what's the one? The other big white supremacist book.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! I know.
The one about
Turner Diaries.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that one's up there. I feel like if someone had the Malleus Maleficarum, I'd be like, no, I wouldn't question it too much. I have a lot of weird friends who collect bizarre books like that.
Like, I collect weird books. I feel like I don't feel the need to have the Malleus Maleficarum, though.
No, I don't either. But I mean, I also have Mondo Cane and Faces of Death. I've never watched them, but I got them for $5. I'm like, that's worth having for its notoriety. So I could see someone picking that up.
But there's a level of where the notoriety starts to become a have you now or have you ever been a member of the Nazi Party? But so up until Hitler, this was one of the big like books, and on that list was also works like the Dictorium Inquisitorium, Practica Inquisitus, Heretica Pravitatis, and Formicarius. These give detailed accounts on how to accuse, test, torture, punish heretics, which is demons, as well as how to become an inquisitor and the authority granted to inquisitors.
Damn.
Yeah. So, the Practica Inquisitionis is like that first book in the early 1300s. It's like, hey guys, we can kind of like do a little bit more.
Mm.
And then Emmerich just fucking goes full ham with the Dictorium Inquisitorium. Some of the earliest copies of this, I believe, is like 1376.
Damn.
This really focuses heresy to include things like magic, astrology, fortune tellers, pagans, Jews, and Muslims as heretics.
Man, all those things are cool.
All those things are cool. And they're not Christian. Why is this now part of heresy? That's weird.
Yeah, heresy is practicing Christian
things wrong.
Christianity.
Yeah.
Unless what they're saying is all religions are the same religion, man.
I wish that's what he was saying, but it's not that cool and groovy, unfortunately.
I think it falls more under the idea, this is my guess, but if you're in the Empire, you're expected to be Christian, and if you're also doing these things, you're practicing Christianity wrong.
So basically, to boil down a lot of this band, okay, so the Dictorium, you need to understand, is like 800 pages. far as I'm aware, there's not an English translation of the book, so we looked
it up last time. There wasn't.
I think it's in Latin and Spanish.
Yes.
I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Not an English one, but it's also 800 pages of just brutally describing torture techniques, so, like, I don't blame anybody. But the portions of the book where he explains his logic behind it kind of boils down to heretics are already possessed by demons. Therefore, their soul is already damned. Therefore, the confession and trial are merely steps to be taken along their path to the burning process. Burning the damned is part of fighting the devil, the literal devil, along with deterring others from this failing.
That's interesting, though, because that goes against a lot of what I would view as modern Christian belief in a couple ways. One, we love our saving the possessed person from a demon stories.
Yeah.
Our exorcists and Emily Roses and whatnot. And so, like, being possessed doesn't mean your soul's damned. It just means you're in danger.
I think it still kind of depends on which thought school within Christianity you're going with, because I've dealt with a lot of Christians personally that follow into this, like, well, if you've sinned, you're stained, and there's nothing that can be done for you. I have religious trauma. Not from my family, though, which is the funny part. It's from everybody else around me. Moving to the U.S. was really good for my mental health.
Yay.
Yay. So, kind of fun fact for everyone with this little religious psycho. Emmerich was banished for trying to accuse magic users within his homeland.
Hell yeah.
After that, he worked to spread his arguments amongst people and other whatnot thoughts.
Damn.
Which is interesting, because the Gutenberg press, the big thing that's like, this is the start of mass media, was invented in 1440, which is 41 years after Emmerich dies.
So that's probably a part of why there's no translation. There's probably only a couple copies that still exist in, like, museums and stuff.
His works pick up in popularity, though, despite the initial, like, ew, no, you're weird. Ugh.
So they still get printed through the Guten.
Yeah, it's just, like, the time period I just found fascinating, because I was like, if he popped up with these little fucking psycho ideas, like, 50 years earlier, would have just, like, died. And just been a weird history note of, like, yeah, this little weirdo.
Okay, right. So you're saying the opposite. Because he was so close to the press, it did get picked up.
Yeah, because everything traveled by speed of horse.
Yeah.
So while things are being disseminated, it was, like, really, really slow going. And that's why, even though the process of using the press seems still really, really slow to us compared to, like, scribing everything super fast. And you can make multiples of the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of how much the concept of a printing press just completely revolutionized how we interact with each other as a species, I cannot understate. It's
a lot.
Fucking bananas. And part of me wonders, like, if not for his placement so close to the invention of the printing press, would the Inquisition have ratcheted up as fucking psychotically as it ends up becoming?
Right.
Just a fun history thing. Yeah. So... for those who are like, hi, so this Dictorium Inquisitorium sounds familiar. It is also name dropped in The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, because for many, many, many centuries, this and The Malice Maleficarum were, like, the two books that if you, like, wanted to designate somebody as, like, this is a bad guy because he has his book. That was that.
Word.
So, hooray. It's kind of like one of those, like, pop culture references. And Edgar Allan Poe, like, when you think about it, I'm like...
Yeah.
That is what that is.
It is a pop culture reference. Huh. So, after the Directorium, sorry, there's a lot of books with a lot of Latin, and I'm only so pretty. You have the Formicarius, which the earliest copies of that appear around 1436 to 1438. These expand the definition of magical practice to include unlearned occultism, which is associated more with the lowing class, herbalists, mystics, healers, jobs typically associated with women. So this is kind of where there's the formality with the great divide between upper class kind of occultic practices, which will eventually evolve into science, and then lower class mysticism, which leads to Here we go, guys, strap in. Authorities were also far more likely to go after those communities as opposed to the learned upper class. Fucking weird how this keeps happening.
Yeah, because to get learned magic, you had to be able to afford books and then know how to read them.
just like you had to hire a guy to blow the glass for your flasks.
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
Like you had to invest in a glass guy.
I used to blow glass. It's difficult. Like actual like science beakers and stuff. Those shapes are tough.
Yeah, the Erlenmeyer flasks, like the round boys with the little skinny neck.
Yeah, I mean you could use a form.
Yeah,
but that's probably what they do nowadays for sure.
For sure, but goddamn, yeah, it's just that process alone, fucking bananas. But like the lady down the road who's like her family has been like doing herbalism magic to like take care of infections and head colds and stuff, and doing the midwifery. Which
let's burn that.
Clearly, she is consorting with the devil. So these works all combine together to greatly affect what will be the future Spanish Inquisition, along with future witch hunts that spread across Europe and their colonies. Yeah. Hey. I sometimes think there is a cultural argument about how these books affect Christian thought as well as like judicial thoughts and cultural thoughts that we have even to today. So if it's something that interests you, especially as somebody who's interested in like the satanic panic and various kind of like mass hysteria movements based around like public morality, I think these are really interesting subjects to dig into, even if you're not somebody who particularly cares about the occult. So yeah, kind of neat there. The not neat is it is the late medieval period and the early modern period that sees the massive upswing in witch trials with the codification of the Maleficarum, which is, there's the Malus Maleficarum, and then there's the term Maleficium, which basically boils down to a female-led sorcery sect that basically its base of power is by doing pacts with the devil through sexual congress in exchange for, their mystic illusions and powers through sabbats and synagogues, because it has to be anti-Semitic too. And I will argue that this form of the Inquisition and its thought on like the witch hunts and the witch scares is just a gigantic conspiracy theory. Like, if you really look at the way they word stuff, they're just like, oh yeah, these people, are secretly massively powerful, but they're also weak because any magic the devil does is actually an illusion. And just, it's reading through some of these texts and listening to the accounts from this time period about how they're describing witchcraft and listening to how people talk about QAnon stuff today. I'm just like, bruh, same brain cell. It's wild.
I believe that.
Yeah, you can kind of switch out like witchcraft and lizard people. Like they're kind of doing a lot of the same things. It's crazy.
A new female-led sorcery sect based of pacts with the devil. The devil, capital D. Congress. Yeah, that does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, to us it sounds cool.
Pretty metal.
These series of witch trials will lead to the execution of at least 40,000 to 60,000 people, with a 95 execution rate of them being women.
So that first part, very cool and metal. That second part, kind of just like the opposite of very metal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also very metal.
I was going to say, it is very metal. There's a lot of metal albums that are basically about that.
All of this,
yeah. But unfortunately, not fun metal.
Yeah. And the majority of these state and church-sanctioned executions happened between 1560 and 1630, is the big chunk of it.
It's like 70 years.
Yeah, where everyone just went, kill all the goth chicks.
Damn it, man.
The gentleman who does Esoterica does this whole series about the Inquisition and how the texts from the church have affected mass culture and also like conspiratorial thought, as well as like has the justifications for the basis of like modern psychiatry, which is really interesting, and a bunch of, it's wild how much this like ends up affecting society. But he ultimately brings it up for a reason that I wanted to touch base on this is it's a massive historical cautionary tale about the unification of the power between church and state, because sometimes putting those two things together leads to bad things. And if you don't take a pre-K pause and go, hold on a sec, what are we doing? What?
Why do we have all these sticks?
Why is everybody so angry? Is this actually what's happening? All of that to circle back to vampirism is damnation.
Shit.
Back to the folklore. Do you either of you want to read the quote, or would you prefer if I took the bullet this time?
I think it's your damn turn.
It is my damn turn.
Damn it.
For Canaanites, the beast is the abyss. A force that possesses them damns their souls and casts them forever from the light. The beast destroys the one thing that people of the dark medieval world know for certain, the promise of salvation. Without salvation, there can be no hope, and without hope, Canaanites find themselves alone in a dark world.
Oh.
And this is from Dark Ages Revived, page 26.
Which is why you should just give up on your humanity and find a path.
Okay, Pietro.
I will say, under that lens, Sabbat make a lot more sense in Dark Ages than they do in modern times.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So all of this with the IRL and the lore things leads to, at least in my summation of everything, given how we understand how magic slides from being a non-heretical sin, basically magic prior to Emmerich being a dick.
What a fucking turd.
It was looked at like as a sin, but it wasn't heretical. It was just, like, oh yeah, you're looking at cues of nature and you're doing some wibbly woo. You're doing shit outside the Lord though, so like stop.
Yeah, that's
like,
gross.
It's a sin, but like, confess and it's fine.
It's actually pretty cool.
To becoming a heretical sin, which, because Emmerich and people that followed in his thought line believe that to do any kind of magic necessitates you to commune with a demon or other entity in a way that shows that that being has power to rival or outpower God. Even though that's not really true. Like, you're being tricked. You're a little dummy dumb.
Right.
But you thought that that's what was happening and we're punishing you for a thought crime.
How dare. So you're allowed to do magic, but only if it's with God.
Yeah, well, if God is doing magic through you, that's a miracle.
Yes.
And you could be canonized as a saint.
And I think the implication there is that you don't do that. God does that through you, and that's not something that you do just by action. God decides to do it, a miracle, and it happens. You don't summon the power of God through your action.
So you like praying, and then you praying, saying, God, help, and then God being like, got you, bruh. That's not you summoning God. That's you calling for help, and God being like,
that is God turning towards you like a Lovecraftian horror,
right?
And going, hey, here's some sugar,
right?
Yeah, that's the closest to casting magic in his eyes that isn't evil. Is he saying, help me out, and God saying yes.
Yeah, but
anything beyond that.
Yeah, but if you like smash some berries together and maybe consume some like fun funguses and like see things, and that helps your trauma because you've been watching Crusades all of your life and you maybe have PTSD, but we don't know what that is yet because it's the medieval period.
Right.
Witchcraft. That is a heretical sin because you're working on the powers yourself through an entity outside of the Lord.
Fungus is the fucking devil.
Yeah,
I could see some arguments that make sense. Fungus can be scary as hell.
It can.
So, given all that change in thought on how like magic and powers outside of Lord God is, I think it would be extraordinarily hard for any European vampire to conceive of themselves as not heretics. Let alone prove to the Inquisition that they were not demonically possessed.
Right.
So when you're dealing with the early medieval period, vampires can kind of get away with doing political maneuverings and weird shit. And if anybody kind of calls them on it, they're just like, oh, my bad. I can do a penance. Whoops, I didn't know. I couldn't read. Or they can just pick up their shit and go 2 counties over.
Right.
Just stay at another homies haven and just like, fuck, I gotta start over.
Or just, wait like, 15 years? Half the town will be dead. Just come back.
Yeah, just like, I'm gonna go take a dirt nap.
Yeah.
But when the Inquisition gets actually rolling,
it's a bit harder.
It's extraordinarily hard, and the Inquisition and the Church and the state have all teamed up in a way where vampires can't politically maneuver like they would in the early medieval period. And even if they did get got, it's like you can't not only could you not sell it to these zealots, you probably couldn't even sell it to yourself because you grew up in this culture of like, well, I am hearing a voice inside of my head. I think it's the devil.
Right.
Maybe.
It always wants me to do the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So clearly I'm damned. So, what if I suck blood and fuck forever?
Off we go.
Here we go.
I wonder how many people got embraced and had that mentality and just turned themselves over.
Probably a lot.
Or just sat out for the sun or whatever.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
It's probably why there wasn't that many vampires that low or that separated from Cain really until modern times, because we kind of like let go of those thoughts for good or bad.
Right.
We might talk about that in an upcoming episode.
That might come up.
Might be a thing. We'll talk about. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So the tactics used by the elders for their wars extends into their practices of self-defense. Many fledglings and neonates are pushed out to face the Inquisition, giving their sires and lords time to flee. So the thing they were doing during the War of Princes, where they're like fighting each other, and then this new threat enters the battlefield. And they're
like, well, if we just keep doing what we're doing, but with them,
yeah,
I can just go 2 counties over, and then they're 2 counties over, and shit starts catching on fire. They're like, fuck!
I just gotta embrace you. You're my son now. Go defend our heraldry.
Right.
My boy, Father Hell. Yeah! So all of these issues culminate in the first Anarch revolts, the Convention of Thorns, the Camarilla, the Sabbat, but those are all other episodes.
Some of them we've done.
Some of
them we've done a bit, yeah.
There's a lot. I've said it a couple times. There's a lot of stuff that we just kind of name check in this that could be its own episode.
Yeah, you're correct. So that is the real world historical context that maybe builds onto the Dark Ages lore context for how vampires interacted and tried to survive, and also accidentally set up the first Inquisition. It's very monkey's paw.
Thanks, friends.
Woo!
Not really. But I mean, I guess Anarch revolts were cool.
I would love to get to be able to do that episode. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys. But yeah, I couldn't talk about the first Inquisition happening without talking about the War of Princes, and I really couldn't talk about the War of Princes without talking about the Crusades, and it's hard to talk about the Crusades without setting up all this other shit first.
Yeah, and this is mostly setting up our next couple episodes. I guess we can talk about that now too.
Yes.
But we're doing Hunter Month for October. We had a little delay, so you're gonna get 4 episodes in a month and a break, because we did 2 and then a break. But
yeah, whoops.
That just means you're getting an extra spooky Halloween.
Ooh.
Extra spooky. But I'm going to do 2 parts on the Inquisition, but it's going to be the group, the Inquisition. And I'm going to kind of pick up where Sarah set up and run to modern times from their perspective, and talk about all the shit going on with vampires. And then we're going to talk about some of the new organizations from H5 that I find particularly interesting.
Fuck yeah. It was hard to talk about the first Inquisition without getting into the actual Inquisition.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to step on your toes.
Well,
so this is like, fuck.
No, I think you set it up a lot, because having that historical context that you gave is really, really, really important. And it doesn't make a lot of sense / kind of sets them up as these weird superhero.
It's also just interesting given the having a better understanding of how the Inquisition in our timeline and meat space actually functioned, and then kind of seeing how things are juxtaposed for the Dark Ages setting, because Dark Ages is old world, but you can pull that stuff for V5 if you want, for fun and profit, or however.
Yeah, there's some ST Vault books on how to update it too, and they like everything else, they name check that history all the time anyway. Yeah,
and it's one of those, like, there's some anachronism, which is fine.
It's not our world.
Yeah, it's not our world. Things can be
darker.
A little yeah. But being able to have the context of, like, why do these elders have the balls to do what they're doing? And you're like, oh, because the church until, like, literally the 11th hour was, like, kind of just, like, fucking 12 Mr. Beans in, like, little Pope hats. Just like, oh, fuck.
Also, everyone else with power was doing the exact same thing they were. So it's not like they were, like, leading these giant raids and pillaging, and everyone else is being like, I wonder why those weirdly nocturnal people are doing that. There's just a lot of raids and pillaging and crusades happening at the same time. So, like, they can just say, oh, for God. And everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah, because then you're also dealing with, like, the Normans invading, like, Anglo-Saxony and vice versa. And then, like, what becomes the eventual start of, like, Russia and Ukraine. And there's also the Mongols kicking around. I didn't even get to the fucking Mongols.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Complex world full of people.
Yeah.
And all those people do stuff.
All those people do things. And yeah, I enjoy this. I do enjoy the Dark Ages settings. I try really hard not to be a fucking history wonk.
I mean, you're a fucking nerd. That's
I'm a
okay.
fucking nerd.
Honestly, I think that's kind of interesting, though. I think that's, if I were to play I've never played Dark Ages, but I would want more of that historical background, because I wouldn't want it to turn into vampire D&D.
Yeah, I don't want it to be vampire D&D. And another kind of...
That's what Changeling...
Yeah, big note I should have mentioned, and I didn't, and I apologize, is during a lot of this time period, people don't separate themselves by nation states, because that's not a fucking thing yet. So people tend to separate each other by language groups more than anything else.
And religious groups. And even...
Yeah, and even then with the religious groups, it's like yes and no, because you have...
all the heretic talk.
Yeah, there's all the heretic talk, but there's also Christendom that includes, what we would count as like Italy and France and Spain and Austria and Britain and Scandinavia, and then also Egypt and Morocco and Syria and yada 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 yada. And then there's also Muslims kicking around doing their own things in various other parts of the world, and sometimes on top of each other. It's like a parfait.
Man.
Do I need to stop mentioning food? I tried to avoid mentioning baklava, which is also layered.
So good.
If somebody could Uber us a baklava.
Oh my god.
Uber eats us a baklava.
I'm not giving out my address. If you want to send some baklava to our P.O. Box, 109.
We don't have a P.O. box yet. We should set up a P.O. box. Once we have a P.O. box, you can send us baklava.
So that seems like a bad idea. Especially we'd have to check that regularly.
Yeah, well,
it would be such a sticky P.O. box.
Depends on. I was gonna say it depends on who's closest to the P.O. box.
That's true, because if it was right by my house, that baklava, I'd check it every
You'd be checking it every... See, that's the incentive for you to check for the fan mail. Because there might be a baklava in there.
Then the fan mail is going to be sticky, though.
We're going to set up...
Because of the baklava.
We're going to...
Because of the baklava.
Because of the baklava, of course. That's the only reason. Yeah, so if we set up a P.O. box, essentially you're going to have to send us candy to incentivize us to actually look at the things you send us.
What if somebody sends me an iron brew?
Oh,
that'd be nice.
cute.
I'll cry. I'll cry again.
Again.
I cried last Christmas when our other friend John got me iron brew for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Because I'm fine. I'm fine and normal. Anyways, thanks Paralyze for the music.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. You should check them out on Bandcamp. Give them some listens and $1 dues. We exist on social media. We do have an Instagram at blankbodiespod. We also exist on TikTok at blankbodiespodcast if you want to reach out and say hello and or share your cool things. It is Month of Darkness now, so share your postings for that, I guess. We also have a Patreon if you want to give us some $1 dues. We appreciate the support for letting us do this tomfoolery.
Mm-hmm.
There are various tiers that allow you to get titles in the community Discord. You can get help vote for things on the show and let us know how you want things to spill out and go forth in your listening ear holes.
Sometimes this isn't necessarily an incentive to join the Patreon, but sometimes we post non-contextual pictures.
Did you just post baklava in the Patreon chat?
I should have. No, but I was asking someone to help us with Latin.
Ah.
Yeah, that's how we found out the Latin thing.
We do actively reach out to the patrons for help because we're all dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we appreciate that. We do have a community Discord. You can come hang out. There's most of it's open to everybody. We got a couple little hidey holes for the patrons.
Mm-hmm.
People run games in there. They stream and do hangouts. People share character inspos, cheat sheets, cool projects they find online. If you have a cool project that you want to share with our listening audience, you can reach out to us at blankbodies@gmail.com. We do an interview series. By we, mostly Hunter.
Hi.
You can come talk to Hunter about your cool project. It can be game related, it can be music, could be art, could be cosplay, could be LARP groups.
If you're a real vampire, you can just go ahead and title the subject of your email. I'm a real vampire. John, come talk to me. And I will make that happen.
And then I'll see the email and I'll tell John about it.
Yeah.
We'll forward it to John's other email.
Attention Hunter. Please tell John should be the subject of your email.
Attention Hunter. Tell John I'm ready. Oh, God.
Love it.
Imagine that were to happen and it's just Sam Reed, but not able to escape his Lestat character from the interview series.
Oh, no.
That would be horrifying.
Is that the new one?
Yeah. It's actually really good.
I watched the first season.
Yeah.
I had some mixed feelings on it.
That's fair.
I've heard the second season's better, though.
Yeah, second season is better, and I'm actually hyped for the third one.
Okay.
Because apparently they're pulling a lot of the music inspo from Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and I fucking love that show.
Interesting.
Weird, but cool.
Yeah.
Also, we mentioned patron episodes. We got a little behind because of Gen Con and stuff, but October being extra spooky, you're getting 3 of them this month. The first one should be coming up Monday. Mm-hmm. With this episode. And then there's also a pull-up for Sarah writing the next one because I'm taking all of October episodes, so we swapped.
We swapped. I'm working on something.
Yeah, the patrons will let us know, and then they will hear it.
Yes, and then there's another something.
Yeah, and we got an episode up this month. Well, the first one up this month for the patrons is all about soundtracking your games at the table.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun one.
Yeehaw.
We're about to record that next.
That might have been why we were doing the music sound at the beginning of the episode. Anyways, goodbye.
See ya.
Goodbye.
You done? Or...
Mwah!
Oh.